I originally created this tutorial as an online art lesson for pencilportrait.org. Since it never occurred to me to make this a video lesson, I didn't film the process of creating this piece. What you have here is basically the static tutorial with a bit of additional commentary. I will include a link to pencilportrait.org as well as a link to the original reference photo in the description of this video. So let's get started. Our goal. This image is our final goal. I decided to create this tutorial because it demonstrates a very important issue in dealing with color, the importance of seeing the colors that actually exist. At first you might think that all you need to represent the petals is yellow and maybe a little red. The background looks like it might just be a couple of colors of green. The reality is I used 12 different colors to create this final image. Decision time. This is the original photograph that we will be working from. Before you start any project, many decisions must be made. My first decision was realism. How realistic did I want to make my final piece? I decided to go with a more artistic look as opposed to seeking true photorealism. I wanted a soft but powerful image. The next decision was cropping. I wanted the flower to stand out and make a strong statement, so I made the background considerably smaller than the flower itself. The next decision was tools. Paper was an easy decision. I wanted bright, vivid colors, so the paper needed to be pure white. I also wanted a smooth finish without texture, but enough of a tooth to get good solid pigment coverage. I decided on Strathmore Smooth Bristle Acid-Free 100-pound white. After spending a couple of hours studying the image and looking closely at the colors it contained, I decided to go with the following Prismacolor Premier pencils and art markers. For the art markers, I used dark green and canary yellow. For the colored pencils, I chose the following: Carmine Red, number PC926, Mineral Orange, number PC1033, Warm Gray 20%, number PC1051, Canary Yellow, number PC916, Sienna Brown, number PC945, White, number PC938, Dark Green, number PC908, Spring Green, number PC913, Periwinkle, number PC1025, and Black Grape, number PC996. The sketch. I created the initial sketch with a Derwent 2B drawing pencil. The purpose of this tutorial is to demonstrate colored pencil techniques, so I'm not going to go into detail on how to create the initial sketch. You can find a tutorial for various ways to do this on pencilportrait.org. My sketch was a lot lighter than what you see here, but it was necessary to enhance it so you can see what I've done. It is important to use very light strokes when creating this sketch. Dark graphite is often difficult to cover with colored pencil, and too much pressure will emboss the paper, causing even more problems. All you need is enough of a line to guide you in laying down the colored pencil. The underpainting. There are many ways that you can do an underpainting. You can use watercolor, watercolor pencil, markers, or any number of media. I decided to use the Prismacolor Premier Art Markers. An underpainting is important because colored pencils are difficult to completely cover an area. In most cases, little bits of the paper will show through unless you really overdo the pigment. I used to do that and suffered from a problem called wax bloom. I put so much wax on the paper that over time it all rose to the surface and clouded the original image, making it dull and lackluster. Using the canary yellow and dark green art markers, I quickly laid in the base colors for the image. I was not too concerned at this point on making it look smooth, since I was going to cover the whole thing with pencil anyway. Canary yellow marker. I wanted the background to be dynamic. I want to give the illusion that there is more vegetation behind the rows, but the detail is out of focus. One of the fantastic properties of Prismacolor art markers is you can blend a light color right on top of a darker color without damaging the lighter marker. In this case, I use the technique to pull in some yellow-green patches. Later, this will allow for some very interesting colored pencil effects. Carmine Red. Colored pencils are transparent. Because of this, it is beneficial to work with darker colors first. Lighter colors can be used over the darker ones, making blending fairly simple. Here, I used the red on the tips of some of the petals and used light circular strokes to start laying in some of the shadow areas. This is the beginning of defining the depth of the image. Also note that the red was added to the stem. The key to good colored pencils is working in layers. This is starting the first layer. Don't forget to pay close attention to your original reference photo. Everything you need to know for your work is in that photo. Study it carefully and refer to it constantly. Mineral orange. The orange is used to further enhance the shadowed areas and to blend some of the red that was laid down in the last step. It might look as though the shadows are less defined now, but that is perfectly fine. We are layering the colors that will eventually add depth and realism to the final drawing. Warm gray 20%. A lot of artists will reach for black the instant they want to darken something. I found that it is better to use a value of gray. I chose warm gray for this because the yellows and reds are warm colors. I chose 20% because I did not want to go extremely dark. I just wanted to desaturate some areas, giving the impression of depth. Remember, art is nothing more than an illusion. We want the brain to look at some of the petals and think that they are actually behind the others, when in reality is nothing more than a two-dimensional image. Desaturating color is an excellent way to establish this illusion. Canary yellow. The bright canary yellow is used over the entire flower. It is also used to blend all of the colors you've laid down so far, resulting in a much smoother transition from color to color. Do not attempt to cover the other colors, but rather blend the yellow in with them. What you're looking for is a smooth transition from the red-orange tones to the bright yellow. White. Don't forget to keep in mind that all you are doing is reproducing light and shadow. Look closely at the original photo and you will notice where the light reflects the brightest. Those areas appear to be white. The next step in creating this illusion is to add white colored pencil to those areas. Mineral orange. We need to lay down another layer of mineral orange in order to further deepen the shadowed areas. Remember to use light pressure and allow the colors to build on each other and blend smoothly from one to another. Canary yellow. The final layer of yellow is applied pretty heavy. Use the yellow as a burnishing layer to blend and smooth out the rest of the colors. When you burnish, you use quite a bit of pressure, but not enough to emboss or damage the paper. But heavier pressure will result in deep, rich colors and allow for an almost fluid blending of all the colors laid down so far. Never burnish unless you are close to finishing the area you are working on. When you burnish, it is very difficult to add more color. However, depending on how deeply you burnish, it is possible, as we will see in the next step. Sienna brown. At this point, I decided that there was not enough contrast between the lighter and darker areas. I considered using a darker gray, but I was not looking to mute the color. I was also looking to make the color more dramatic, so I used a sienna brown in the darkest areas. That darker color against the white highlights really added dimension and color to the project. Dark green. Finally, we get started on the background. Put a thin layer of dark green over the entire area. You don't want to cover everything, but make sure that the yellow areas can clearly be seen through the layer of green. Also notice that the leaves of the rose now get a layer of green to differentiate them from the flower itself. Pay close attention to the stem. Using the dark green, lay in the shadow areas. Spring green. Spring green is used to fill out the lighter areas of the background, as well as lay in the lighter areas of the stem and leaf. Periwinkle. If you look closely at the original photograph, you will notice that there are a lot of light blue in the background, as well as the stem of the flower. I chose periwinkle for the blue because it blends very well with the greens that we just finished using. Dark green. Final layer for the dark green. Use it to deepen the contrast between the lighter green and the blue. More contrast means more drama. If we really want to make this image pop, we should attempt to make it more dramatic. Black grape. The only real purpose for the black grape was to outline the border. The dark tones in this color complement the blues and reds of the rest of the image. It may be subtle, but the brain will pick up on it. Using a solid black would not have been near as pleasant. I used a short plastic ruler as a straight edge to make sure the lines were as perfect as I could get them. Then I used the dark green to fill in some areas that remained white between the border and the background. That wraps it up for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments or send me an email. Thank you so much for joining me in this project. I look forward to sharing more projects with you very soon.